Hi everyone, my name is Thomas Kim. Today is January 13th, 2025. It is 7:10 a.m. I found many C and C++ programmers rely on dynamic memory allocation. I emphasized many times that dynamic memory allocations are very heavy operations. If you want to achieve optimal performance algorithm, then you have to try to avoid dynamic memory allocation as much as possible. I asked ChatGPT like this. In C and C++, dynamic memory allocations are very heavy operations compared to the usual arithmetic operation. Then ChatGPT answered.
Yes, dynamic memory allocations in C and C++ are significantly heavier operations compared to usual arithmetic operations. Here's why. 1. Involvement of the operating system. Dynamic memory allocation often involves interacting with the operating system or the runtime's memory management system. Allocators like malloc or new must search for a suitable free block of memory, which may involve traversing data structures, like free lists or memory pools, used to manage memory. Overhead of memory management. Allocated memory includes metadata to track its size and state. Managing this metadata adds overhead. In multi-threaded environments, synchronization mechanisms, e.g. locks, may be required to ensure thread safety in allocation, further increasing costs. 3. Cache effects. Dynamic memory allocations disrupt spatial and temporal locality of reference. Allocated memory might not reside in the CPU cache, leading to more cache misses and slower memory access. 4. Fragmentation. Frequent allocations and deallocations can lead to memory fragmentation, causing inefficient usage of memory and making future allocations slower. 5. Potential initialization costs. Allocated memory may need to be initialized to a default value. New does this by default, while malloc leaves it uninitialized unless you use calloc. Comparison with arithmetic operations. Arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. are typically executed directly by the CPU using hardware instructions. Very fast, often taking only a few clock cycles. Free of any interaction with external systems or memory management overhead. In contrast, a single dynamic allocation, malloc, calloc, or new, can take thousands to millions of clock cycles, depending on the size of the allocation and system conditions. In contrast, a single dynamic allocation, malloc, calloc, or new, can take thousands to millions of clock cycles, depending on the size of the allocation and system conditions. In contrast, a single dynamic allocation, malloc, calloc, or new, can take thousands to millions of clock cycles, depending on the size of the allocation and system conditions. Best practices to mitigate overhead. To reduce the cost of dynamic allocations. 1. Use memory pools. Pre-allocate large blocks of memory and sub-allocate smaller chunks as needed. 2. Avoid frequent allocations. Reuse memory where possible, such as in object pooling. 3. Use std vector and other containers. In C++, containers like std vector manage memory efficiently and reduce the need for manual allocation. 4. Profile and optimize. Measure the allocation frequency and size in performance-critical code and optimize where necessary. Efficient memory management is crucial in performance-critical applications, especially in areas like embedded systems or real-time systems.
I asked ChatGPT once again, why so many C programmers rely on dynamic memory allocations, then expect best performance? To this, ChatGPT answered.
The reliance on dynamic memory allocation by many C programmers, even when aiming for high performance, stems from a mix of habit, convenience, and historical practices. Here's a detailed breakdown of why this occurs and the potential misconceptions. Reasons C programmers rely on dynamic memory allocations. 1. Flexibility and generality. Dynamic memory allocation via malloc, calloc, realloc, and free allows for runtime flexibility. Programmers can handle datasets of varying or unknown sizes without over-allocating resources up front, making programs more general and adaptive. 2. Historical precedent. Early C practices and textbooks emphasized dynamic memory allocation as a tool for handling real-world problems. For many developers, it became a default approach, especially in areas like linked lists, trees, and other dynamic data structures. 3. Ease of implementation. Using dynamic memory simplifies the design of certain algorithms. Data structures like heaps or dynamic arrays can resize as needed. Memory can be allocated and deallocated to fit user inputs or changing conditions. Avoiding dynamic memory often requires more intricate code, such as stack allocation or pre-allocated memory pools. 4. Language features and libraries. Many widely used libraries and frameworks are designed with dynamic memory in mind. For example, dynamic allocation is often unavoidable when dealing with file I/O, networking, or system-level APIs. Libraries like glib or C++ internally rely on malloc-based approaches. Number 5. Misunderstanding modern performance bottlenecks. Programmers may overestimate the impact of other optimizations while overlooking the performance cost of memory management, assuming compilers or hardware can solve these problems. Why this hurts performance. 1. Heap management overhead. Allocating memory from the heap is inherently slower than stack allocation or using a memory pool. It requires interaction with the operating system, locking mechanisms, and metadata management. 2. Cache misses. Dynamically allocated memory is often scattered in memory, reducing spatial locality. This increases cache misses, as modern CPUs rely heavily on caching for performance. 3. Fragmentation. Over time, frequent allocations and deallocations cause heap fragmentation, which wastes memory and can lead to unpredictable performance degradation. 4. GC-like behavior in manual management. In manual memory management, failing to properly align allocations, use memory pools, or free memory in a timely manner can inadvertently mimic the downsides of garbage collection, e.g., performance hiccups or memory bloat. 5. Lack of predictability. High-performance systems often value deterministic behavior. Dynamic allocation introduces non-deterministic latencies, which are unacceptable in real-time systems like embedded software or high-frequency trading. How alternatives to relying on dynamic memory? 1. Stack allocation. The stack is fast and deterministic. Whenever possible, use stack-allocated variables or fixed-size arrays for predictable performance. 2. Memory pools. Pre-allocate large blocks of memory at startup and manage them manually. Memory pools avoid fragmentation and reduce the overhead of frequent heap interactions. 3. Static arrays and fixed buffers. For known workloads, fixed-size arrays and buffers are efficient and avoid runtime allocations. 4. Custom allocators. Use custom memory allocators optimized for the workload, such as slab allocators, arenas, or region-based allocation. These often outperform general-purpose heap allocators. 5. Modern programming practices. Modern languages, or even advanced C++ practices, emphasize RII, resource acquisition is initialization, and containers like std-vector, which reduce the likelihood of programmer errors while offering better memory management patterns. Misaligned expectations. Many programmers equate C's low-level control with automatic performance, overlooking that control doesn't equal speed. Without careful planning of memory allocation, access patterns, and data locality, reliance on dynamic memory can lead to suboptimal results. For best performance, programmers should minimize heap allocations, focus on data locality, profile and optimize based on actual usage patterns rather than intuition.
I will save this page, copy, paste it in the desktop. If you watch through this video, you will learn how to avoid dynamic memory allocation, which will greatly improve the performance of your algorithm. C++20 and C++23, also C++26, provide many new compile time functions. These compile time functions greatly improve runtime performance. For example, in C++20, they introduced Canstoval. In this episode, I will explain how to use Canstoval. Also, C++20 20 provides non-type template parameter. Once again, C++20 provides non-type floating point numbers as template parameter. As of today, Microsoft C++ compiler, GNU G++ compiler, and Clang++ compiler supports floating point template argument. Floating point template arguments are supported in most C++ compiler now. I will explain how to use compile time floating point template parameters. In the web browser, if you search for CIL in this page, since C++23 context per CIL function is supported. Since C++26, this CIL function will be further extended. Also, LCD floor, if you click this link, since C++23, context per floor function is supported. Since C++26, this function is more extended. But as of today, context per floor function, this function is not yet implemented in C++ compiler. However, we can implement this function also this function by ourselves. These functions will greatly improve runtime performance of our application. From my YouTube channel, Tensor Calculus and Multiple Precision, Tensor Calculus and Advanced Linear Algebra, click this playlist. From this playlist, select episode 006. In our previous episode, we learned how to implement power function and special functions. Show more, download source code. Show in folder, unzip it. Rename 007, cut, paste it in your working directory. Open up Visual Studio Code, Multiple Precision Computing. This file is open here. Ctrl B. I will delete this part. Instead, I will copy and paste. To follow my current session, you need GMP Library 2025 January 12.zip. After filming video, you will have GMP Library.zip, the updated library. Scroll down. I assume you have watched from episode 1 up to episode 6 if you want to follow my current session. About command prompt, we now need GMP, GMPXX, MPFR, MPC, TBB12, command line switch. So I will remove like this. Please take note. We have to use up-to-date C++ compilers. Otherwise, my C++ code may not build on your system at all. We have to use up-to-date C++ compilers. Otherwise, my C++ code may not build on your system at all. Control End. In our previous episode, we implemented binary operators for MPFR complex number. For example, precision 100. Open up your command prompt for GNU G++ and Clang++ compiler. CD 007 special functions function Clang++ std C++23 complex.cpp lgmp lgmpxx lmpfr lmpc ltbb12 or c.exe. You should be able to build successfully. Using GNU compiler, it should also build CLSC G. So this is real part. This is imaginary part. This is 100 decimal places. Extremely accurate. Now, Control Home. I will fold it up. Right click, go to Definition. In this file, right click, go to Definition. I will arrange side by side. In this file, find get default precision. This function. This is implemented using MPFR get default precision. This function. This function is problematic. Also, Control F. This is 2 bits. Both of these two functions are problematic. Right click, go to Definition. Here we can find the implementation. The problem in this function and in this function is that they are using SEDCell, SEDFloor. This function causes problem at compile time. So, in this file, scroll down in the GMP. Here, constable. Here, template, STD, floating point, ARG, type, STD, integral, return type. We will make it int as default type. type. Then return type, floor, ARG type, V. Here, return type, we do typecasting. V. It is very simple. Now, copy, paste. This is seal. If return type, this is integral type, b times 10 minus return type, b times 10, then parentheses, we return type, b plus 1, else return type, b. So we implemented floor and seal. Now with this, Control N, void test, floor and seal. Context per auto ff GMP floor 3.6 or 5. Copy, paste, CC, seal. Now copy, paste, SCD, floor, SCD, seal. It can be SF, SC. This is OK. This is error. Here, SCD, cout, ff, SCD, and there, copy, paste, SF, and there, copy, paste, CC, SC, With this, we build again using Clang compiler. It does not work. In case of SCD floor, this is runtime function. In this line, SCD floor this is runtime function. So we cannot use context per. In the same manner, stdcil, this is runtime function. So we have to remove context per. With context per, these are errors. With or without context per, these are okay. With this, we build again. CLSC. Sorry, I forgot to copy this. Copy, paste it here, disable it. We rebuild. CLSC. So FF is 3. SF is 3. GMP plural, STD plural, FF, SF, they have identical values. GMP cell, STD cell, CC, SC, CC, SC, they have identical values. The biggest difference is that GMP plural is compile time function with a context per. std plural, this is runtime function. In case of runtime function, context per is a syntax error. This does not build. We have to remove context per in the compile time function. Now it works perfectly. With the GNU compiler, G, then G++, it should also work. CLSG, GNU compiler, also works perfectly. Please understand that plural, cell, these are constable function or compile time only function. I will show you another example. Copy these, paste. Now auto v delete, we delete. Also here auto v delete. Now we have to use if context per. I will change the function name FLR cell. Y is squiggle. Instead of constable, we will use context per. Also here, context per. With this, here, copy, paste. Now, FLR 3.5, this is function. CEL 3.5, this is function. Why we have squiggle here? In this function, we have to remove this part. Then it will be enabled. Here, RF, RC. So, paste RF, RF, copy, paste RC, RC. With this, we build with GNU compiler CLSG, with Clang compiler, Clang compiler also works. Now, in case of FLR, CL, we are using non-type floating point template argument. Also here, we are using non-type floating point template argument V. Also, we have to use if context per. If we compare with cell, we use if. In case of cell, we use if context per. Please understand the difference. Now, in this file, mpreal, we will implement these two functions. Here, as compile time function, I will rename digits to bits, bits to digits. Here, template, std, integral, arg, type. Copy this. Here, we can use constable, we can use context per, then we will typecast GMP seal. Instead of std, we are using GMP seal, like this. Here too, template, std type name arg type like this. arg type constable context per int gmp floor. With this, void test digits to from bits. Copy, paste, disable it, context per C digits. I missed auto. MP fr bits 2 digits. We pass 125. Copy, paste, C bits, digits, 2 bits. We pass C bits. Copy, paste. We are calling bits to digits. Bits to digits, this function. Digits 2 bits. It should be digits bits. Digits. These are compile time functions. These are runtime functions. In case of runtime function, we cannot use context per. In case of runtime function, we cannot use context per. Now, std cout c digits c digits std and there copy digits copy and there copy paste C bits C bits bits bits. With this, we rebuild CLSC. So, C digits 37. C digits, we are using compile time function bits to digits. Digits 37. Digits, we use runtime function. C bits, we use compile time function. Bits, we are using runtime function. Bits, they all works identically. The benefits of compile time function is that character buffer C this is perfectly okay. In this case, we used context per. This CBs can be used to declare static array. In this case, character mem this is syntax error because the value of digits are determined at runtime. This is syntax error. It does not build mem digits. Mem digits. This is the cause of error. If we disable it, it now should build successfully. If we can use compile time functions, we can significantly improve the performance of our application because we can take advantage of the stack memory. As I said previously, dynamic memory allocation is a very heavy operation. Now, let me explain the mathematical reasoning behind bits to digits and digits to bits. Understanding mathematical reasoning behind these codes is very important. 2 to the 10th power is certain number q. This certain number in decimal numbers will be 1024. Approximately, this number is 1000. This 1000 equals 10 to the third power. So, we can say 2 to the 10th power is approximately, this is approximate symbol. Like this. From this, we can say binary digits. Here, decimal digits. So, bits stands for binary digits. In this case, 10. Binary digits is 10 place. Decimal digits in this case is 3. When I say digits, it is decimal digits. In this case, 3. From this equation, here 10 is binary digits. So 2 to the bits power 3 is decimal digits, so 10 to the digits power. From this equation, we take log 2 log 2 from this we have bits equal log 2q. From this, here I will change the order like this. Now log 10 here, log 10 q. From this digits equal log 10 q. From this equation, we can say bits over log 2q equals 1. This is EQ1. I will make demarcation here. From this equation, we can say digits over log 10 q equals 1. This is EQ2. In the same manner, if this is 16 hex zits, then it becomes 16 hexes, hex digits, then 16 hexes will be 16q hexes over log 16q 1 equation 3. This is equation 2. This is equation 1. I will denote equations like this. So right hand side is 1. Right hand side is 1. So here EQ 1 equals EQ 2 equals 1, because the right hand side is always 1. Now EQ1 here, EQ2 copy here. This equals digits times log 2q over log 10q. We have very pretty logarithm identity. Using this identity, we can say log 2q over log 10q is log 2 10. We are applying this identity to here. So it becomes, this part is, by this identity, log 2 10. This is digits to bits. From this again, we say we change the order like this. Then digits equals bits times log 10 q over log 2 q. By applying this identity again, log 10 q over log 2 q equals log 10 2. So it becomes log 10 2. This is these two digits. Now these two digits, scroll down, these two digits is this equation. D is decimal digits. Digits times log 2 10. Digit D times log 2 10. Now these two digits copy, paste it here. B is binary digits or bits. So binary digits times log 10 2, log 10 2. Using equation 3 and equation 1, we can also convert to hexadecimal digits or hexes. Using equation 3 and equation 2, we can convert decimal digits to hexadecimal digits, or hexadecimal digits to decimal digits. In my next episode, we'll be using digits to bits and bits to digits to bypass or avoid unnecessary dynamic memory allocation. As I said in the introductory part of this video, dynamic memory allocations are very heavy operations. We should avoid dynamic memory allocations as much as possible if we want to achieve optimal performance.